I was listening to Alison Armstrong talk about, and if you're not familiar with Alison Armstrong, it's Understanding Men. She was talking about how we all go through different stages in our lives. And, I was reflecting on the stage that I've been in for quite a while, and it's an in between stage. It's the transitional stage between one part of our lives and then moving into the next. And that stage can be pretty uncomfortable. So, because we're anticipating what's coming, but we're not there. And sitting in the discomfort of not having everything worked out, not knowing, that's probably one of the toughest parts for me. I really enjoy psychics and intuitives because I want to know what's coming. I want to be prepared. I'd like to be able to handle the challenges that are ahead without having to struggle. But the thing that's really coming in for me is that the struggle is the power of life. Even though I think all of us are in resistance to the struggle, it could be the childhood and, the generational trauma that we've all experienced because of survival. And, there's many people in the world who are still in survival. And to you, if there's someone out there listening to this, I'm so compassionate. And those of us who have food, water, shelter, and we are comfortable in life, we're not in survival. We have opportunities to contemplate and learn and grow as I am now, considering that in-between space, the transition between where I want to go and where I currently am. And Alison Armstrong's work, if you're in business and you are interested in having better communication with the opposite sex, her work is phenomenal. And as I transition into the next level of life for myself, and I'm looking ahead, but yet I'm not there, and that discomfort, the struggle, I'm realizing the struggle is the answer. That's the part to embrace. The challenge is that the struggle, for most of us, we don't embrace. And I'm learning to embrace the struggle and to be grateful for it, because I know without struggle, without the challenge, without the frustration, without the lack of knowing, without the discomfort, what is life? How boring is life? And I know this because I've been semi-retired for a bit in between what's next for me in life. And when you're comfortable and your food, shelter is all taken care of, then what's next? What do you do when most people are working so hard to be millionaires and to be successful and to have it all? What happens when you get there? The struggle, I'm learning, I feel, the struggle for me is where the juice is. I have a mentor who used to say, humans are money, honey seeking bees. And on the way to our goals, we all have this goal that we want to reach. On the way to the goal, it's procession, the processional effects of taking that next action towards the goals that we have in mind for ourselves. That's where the real gift is. That is where the magic lies. Once you get to your goal, what happens? You have to set another goal. I mean, what keeps you passionate in your life? What keeps you moving towards what you want? And for me, I've realized that I need to get uncomfortable. I have to put myself in uncomfortable positions or I won't stretch and grow. And some of people that don't put themselves in uncomfortable positions, I believe the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, puts them in health issues because they're not stretching themselves to their full capacity. Why do people get sick sometimes when, they've just worked their whole lives and then they go into retirement and all of a sudden they're ill? Well, that could be part of it. I don't know. My point is, if you're not stretching yourself, if you're not putting yourself in a struggle of some kind, I'm not talking about, anything that's scary or that would be uncomfortable to the point of putting your life in jeopardy. I'm talking about discomfort. Like, what do you need to go do? How many friends do you make a year? How uncomfortable is it to make new friends for some people? I make 2 new friends a year, and I've actually really enjoyed making men friends. Men friends for me in this stage of being single has been incredibly nurturing. I love men. And when you go into making new friends, whether you're a woman or a man, and you set the intention to make a new friend, what can that do for your life? It opens you up to new networks, it opens you up to new possibilities and new conversations. And if you're not having new conversations, what are you doing? What is going on in your life that's causing you to grow? Are you traveling? Where are you putting yourself? Are you contributing? My mom used to say this, which drives me nuts because it's still with me, is that if you're not in school or you're not working, then you're not contributing to society. Do I believe that? I don't know. What I do know is that there's a drive and a hunger inside of me, despite the fact that I've been semi retired for almost 8 years. And I have more to contribute. I'm way too young to stop. And it's funny because I'm in Florida now, and there's so many people here who are working, and they're old, really old. And I see these young people struggling and hustling, and it's so stressful for so many of them. And I did talk to a young person the other day. First, I said, when you get to be our age, you're going to hustle. You're going to get this goal. You're going to become such an incredible professional. Life is going to hand you the things that you are asking for. What happens when you get all those things towards the end of life, when we have such an abundant life now? Food, shelter, everything's covered. Where do you go then? Spirituality. So a lot of people are bypassing, combining meditation, breath work, religion, whatever it is that gets you to sit with yourself, that will help you become more self-aware. I don't know if it's still working. But whatever's going to get you conscious and aware to take the next step in your life, to help you become more of the person that you need to be so you can be happy. Because life is short. We all know that. Most people weren't supposed to be alive at my age hundreds of years ago. But because it's short, why not enjoy the process as you get there? Most people don't know about meditation. Most people we weren't taught that we could control our thoughts. And that is the number one relationship that we have with our thoughts. Consider that. You can imagine all day long worry, stress, and if you want to be like a 5-year-old, you could also imagine the best possibility, the joy in life, the happiness that you could feel. How about that? What does that feel like in your body? And I will tell you, for the last year and a half, after studying Dr. Joe Dispenza's work and meditating on imagining everything I've ever dreamed of has already come true. And what does that feel like in your body? Have you ever imagined that? Just sit with that. You know how hard it is for most people to imagine what it's like to have everything you've ever dreamed of? Do you think that might be the secret sauce of life? I'm finding it is for me. Is that when I sit in silence, breath work, and I start to imagine that joyful feeling, imagine it. Who do you love the most in life? Think about that person right now. Oh, it's so exciting. I feel so good. It makes me so happy to think of those people in my life who make me joyful and happy and grateful. Think about those people right now for you. Who are they? It opens up your heart. Now imagine if everything in your life had already happened that you've always dreamed of: abundance, wealth, happiness, fulfillment, health, everything that is the perfection, laughing, dreaming, giggling, having the life of your dreams. What does that feel like in your body? Freedom, excitement, joy, gratitude, all of these emotions and feelings that we can tap into and memorize them in our body. Imagine that. What does that feel like in your body? I am grateful for everything that I have worked for in my life. And if you think about it, the things that we work for are the things that stretch and grow us. And that is the number one thing that I have been processing and growing through is I'm in midlife and it's happening. And yes, I think someone just put she's old inside the comments. I am. My goodness, did I ever think that I would get to be this age? More importantly, did I ever think that I get to be this happy at this age? I am so content and so happy and so fulfilled and so grateful every single day. And I practice that feeling. I focus on what that feels like in my body. That is a practice of mine. And I believe everyone can have the feeling of joy, gratitude, but for some people, it takes a lot of work because they haven't practiced it. Because when we're little, we're not taught that. Our parents didn't know about, I call this new wave technology, is focusing on what you want is the new technology, thought technology. What do you think about, you bring about? And even if you don't, wouldn't it be more fun to focus and think about what you want than focusing and thinking about what you don't want? Things can happen. Everything can go sideways, for sure. So why not imagine everything wonderful? I don't watch the news. I am unplugged from everyone else's reality. I do not give my energy away to just anyone. I am very conscious and congruent with the things that I want and the things that I invest into. So take a minute, write down all the things that you're investing into. Take a look at your credit card statement. That will tell you everything that you put your life into. And then decide if that's working for you. Because if it is, fantastic, stay with it. If it's not, then maybe make a change. Enjoy your day. Cheers.